Okay, welcome everybody. This is level 2. Oh, here comes Mary. Let's let her in. This is level 2, and we are playing out of the Black Lowry songbook. We're going to do 2 songs today since the first one is actually quite short. The second one is The Girl from Ipanema, and that one is going to take a little bit more time. We may have to put 2 weeks into that one, but we'll see because, yeah, it's longer. It's got a couple more pages. It's got quite a few chords, but we'll take it apart in sections, which is the way to practice any good song, and we'll practice it slowly. If you have your iPad or your computer close to your instrument, please feel free to play along with me. Keep yourselves muted when you do it. You can do one hand at a time, and it just makes life a lot easier, and I will keep it nice and slow so that you can follow along, because the best way to learn is hands-on. So go ahead and put your hands on. You don't need to see me. What you need to see is this right here. So I'm going to put the camera here on the keys so that you can see hands. If you can't see hands, then just yell at me and say, hey, I'm not seeing what you're doing. Show that to me more slowly. All right, first song is Hot Time in the Old Town Tonight. If you go to your song setup, there is actually one called Hot Time in the Old Town Tonight, by the way. I am playing on a beautiful Lowry Easy 4. Easy 4. So if you have any questions about it, please let me know. Yes, it is for sale. If you would like one, do let me know. So once you find your song setup, you scroll until you get to Hot Time, Old Town, and then you touch Select, and all the lights change and it is ready to go. Now it's setting you up very quickly, or I should say, the tempo is very fast. So if you actually play it, it's going to sound like this. Okay, yeah, that's not really a level 2 song. But we're going to take it apart so it is a level 2 song. And if you notice, you only have 2 chords. Oh, here comes Mr. Papa. We will let him in. We only have 2 chords in this song. Welcome, Jim. Nice to see you. And your thumb goes on G. And then your 4th finger is going to go on that D. If you wish to play the D7, which is an optional chord, it's C and D, and it's 4th finger and 5th finger. Pinky on C, 4th finger on the D. Remember, the 7 chord is a lead-in chord. It is waiting for that next chord, which is the G in the song. Now, that being said, what is the key of this song, and why is it important? You can unmute yourself and answer if you know the answer.
G.
G is the key of the song. Why? How do you know that?
The last chord.
Correct. It is the last chord. Not necessarily the last note, but the last chord. And in this case, it also happens to be the first chord. So 99 times out of 100, your last chord is the key of the song. Now, second question, why is that important? Why is that important? Do you need to know the scale? Do you need to know the G scale? No, we don't need to know scales. Never ever have to learn how to play scales, so no worries. The only reason to know what key the song is in is so that if you are using an introduction, you know which chord to press to start the introduction. Right now, my song is set up. I'm going to go Song, Setup, and Select. Well, guess what? The introduction automatically came on. So now, how do I know which chord to touch? It's not always C. C is going to start you off in the key of C. If you want to start off with a G chord, which is your green thumb, that'll put you in the key of G. So it's going to set your ears to that key. And the intro is also important so that you can set your beat, so that you know how fast it's going. All right, now we're going to slow this down, and I'm going to play it at half speed. So we're going to slow it down to 90, and it's going to be awfully slow. And I will put my thumb on the G chord so that it starts the introduction. Okay, so now when I start, it's going to sound like the right song. The nice thing is you can play that G chord for the first 3 lines, then you go to the D or the D7 and back to G. All right, now we've got some sharps in this song. We have an A sharp in the first line. Remember, the sharp is the little hashtag. And yeah, I'm missing some fingernails here because it's time to go to the salon today, so my apologies for looking bad. So you're going to have a sharp A, and the sharp A means that you're going to go up to the first black key from the A. All right, now if you go to the first black key up from the A, it is this one. We also know this a little more commonly as a B flat. You see that one more often than you see an A sharp. If you remember, every single one of these black keys has 2 names, a sharp name and a flat name. So that you have a B flat is the same as an A sharp. Up the keyboard is this way, down the keyboard is this way. Flats are like flat tires and they go down. Sharps, if you put a sharp tack on your bench and sat on it, where are you going? Straight up. So sharps send you up the keyboard to the right. Now, why would they not put B, 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 flat B, B? Why would they write it as an A sharp instead? There's really nothing except physical appearances. If you had all B's, B, 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 and then you put a flat B here, it's going to be on the same line as this. And so physically, when you look at this, whoops, let's get Glenn to come in the room. There we go. So when you look at this, physically, your eye is going down, downhill. And downhill means you're going to find a note down the keyboard to the left. If they left that flat B on the line, it's very deceiving. You wouldn't know, you'd know what the note is, but it physically doesn't look like you're going down. And that's why Easy Play will often mix sharps and flats in the same song, and they will also make it so that it's the easiest for us, the reader, to read what the notes are going up and down. And that's what they use for their criteria to know which note, which one to use, the A sharp or the B flat. Make sense? That's just a little bit of logic. And that's really all it is logic. It's why do they use the ones they use? It's the same thing in line 2. In line 2 you have a C sharp. And remember, they're always going to put that sharp sign or a flat symbol in front of the note to be sharped or flatted. Why wouldn't, it's the same reasoning. Why wouldn't they make it a D flat? Well, because the D flat would have to have the note on the same line, and you don't have that physical appearance of going downhill and back up. And that's why they made the C sharp instead of the D flat. It's just so that we physically can see the up and the down easier. All right, now let's go to line 3. We have 2 A sharps. Again, it's this B flat, A sharp, same key. And then you also have an F sharp. An F sharp and a G flat are the same key, but F sharp is the most common ones. So we are reading a few of the black keys on the keyboard today. We also have some eighth notes. Eighth notes are the ones that are a little faster. They're the ones that are tied with the flags, and they get half the note value of a quarter note. Just play them faster. Half note gets 2 counts each, and the dotted half note gets 3 counts each. And again, don't worry about the counting. Play it the way you sing it. It's going to be 100% A-OK. It's going to be correct. Get your pencils out. Let's do a little bit of fingering, and then we will play. Now remember, if your fingers don't like what mine are doing, it's absolutely okay to change them and try yours and see if it is easier. and then just erase the ones that you don't like and keep the ones that you do like. And it's okay to change your mind tomorrow again, too. That's fine. As long as you are not allowed to put a finger on a black key and slide it. You're not allowed to do that. You have to play two fingers. You have two notes. You need two separate fingers for that. The only time you are allowed to slide a finger from a black note to a white note is when you're playing a grace note, and we're not quite there yet. You see a lot of us do that. A grace note is an embellishment, and we'll learn those later. But you're not allowed to go from an A sharp to a B with the same finger. Against the rules. All right, and it's gonna work to your advantage because you will be able to make the melody a lot easier if you play one note, one finger per note. All right, let's do fingering. Here it goes. B4, B4, B4. A sharp 3, B4, C5. B4, A sharp 3, B4, G2, D1. That's a stretch, but you can do it. G2, B can either be 3 or 4. I'm going to give you a choice on that. And then D will either be 5 or 4. And just it's either going to be a 4-5 or it's going to be a 3-4. Nope, it's going to be a 1-2-3-5 or a 1-2-4-5. And then it's going to be D5, 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 C sharp 3, D4, E5, D4, C sharp 3, D4, B, 3 or 2. Now again, I'm going to give you a choice because you have to get your 1 all the way down to the D. It's probably more comfortable initially to put a 2 on that B, but then you have to completely move your thumb down to the D. So 1 on the D, 2E, 3G, B5, B5, B5. A sharp 3, B4, C5, B4, A sharp 3, B4, G3 or 1. I think 3 is the easiest one to put there. Don't put a 2. The 2 is the one that's the most comfortable to put there, but now you're stuck because you have to put a thumb on that F sharp, and that's not going to work. So if you can reach down with the 3, put a 3 on that G, then you can reach your 2 to the F sharp and put a 3 on that last G. Now, why did I say a 1? If you're on a 4 on the B, you may put a 1 on the G and cross over to the 2 on the F sharp. We always try, we do break the rule, but we always try to not put our thumb on a black key with the right hand. There are times, and there are many times, we have to break this rule, but we try, especially if you have 2 notes right in a row, to not use that thumb on the black key. Put your thumb on a white key, and it's a lot easier for that longer finger to cross over. So let's go back and do the last measure of the third line. G3, G3, I'm giving you the preferred one. F sharp 2, G3. Line 4 is B5, A4, D1, D1, B5, A4, D1, and G3. And again, if your fingers like to do a few different things, that's okay. This one was not the easiest one in the book to actually get some fingers to feel comfortable. You're going to have a couple of uncomfortable stretches. All right, let's play. If you've got your iPad or your phone or your computer close to your instrument, and we're going to play very slowly. One, 2, 3, 4. All right, we'll stop right there. Little awkward, isn't it? Anytime we get into a different key, and this being the key of G, you will have some awkward notes following each other. We're so used to playing in the key of C or the key of F that our fingers kind of start to flow to the notes, but this is in the key of G. So we are going to have some different finger patterns and some more awkward fingering. Let's try that again. Let's go back to the beginning. I'm going to slow it down even more. We'll go down to 80. Okay. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Little bit interesting on the fingers, don't you think? Let's try it one more time. If you want to try both hands, you've only got to play that G, and it's good for 3 lines. And then don't forget that D is going to be on that last line. So if you want to try both hands, go ahead. If you only want to work the right hand, that's fine too. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, I'm not counting right, am I? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Rest, rest. Okay, any questions about this song? This is a song that if you really like it, work on it. And yes, it come up to traditional full band, but don't be afraid to try it on a country because country is going to make the beat easy to hear. The march is usually pretty good to hear. But try your song setup and see if it's in there because it will give you this traditional full band march. And it does bring up your accordions, which is nice. Now what's nice about the EZ4 is you also have a second sound on the bottom. And this one's giving me a saxophone. So you could always do it the second time by bringing your hand from here down to the bottom. Don't bring it straight down. Always go the diagonal. Always do the diagonal. It's like you have a triangle here. You always want to come down the diagonal. That will put you in the proper spot. If you come straight down, you're going over the split. And then you're going to run into chords. So always bring it down the diagonal. And that just takes discipline and practice as well. If you've got a 2-keyboard instrument that could have that nice second sound on the bottom. Let's move over to the girl from Ipanema. Okay, 3 pages. First chord is F. Last chord is F. What does that mean? It's in the key of F. So what does that mean? Do we need to know the scales? Nope. We just need to know that F is going to be what we use for the intro. And if you need to write yourself a little note, please do so. Intro in F, because that will help you. Cheating is 100% good. This is a Latin song. If we do play it, I will probably put it back to country so that you can hear the beat. I'm going to play it for you first. And the first page is not too bad, but if you take a look at the second page, we have lots of flats, lots of sharps, and lots of new chords. So I am very serious about yeah, we might need to take 2 weeks on this, and that's okay. That's okay because we have lots of things to actually learn in this one. All right, so let me just play it first. Let's put on an intro. Here's where it gets tough. And I'm playing it exactly as written. Probably noticed two things. Number one, it was a little choppy because I was playing it exactly as written because I wanted you to follow along. Normally when you play it, once you get it under your fingers, I want you to play it the way you would sing it. And so your timing might be a little bit different on the notes. They're going to flow more like you're singing the song, not just like it is easy play. And so I wanted you to hear that. The second thing you probably noticed is I absolutely broke my own rule, and I put a thumb on a black key in the right hand, but I had to stretch from a high B flat down to a low B flat. I'm on the top of page 69, top line, last measure, where I had to look straight ahead, not at me. B flat down to a B flat. My fingers are not long enough to go 5, 2. So I put the 1 on a black key because in that case it worked for me. So we did break the rule, but only when it doesn't hurt. And that's the number one rule for fingering. If it hurts, don't do it. Find something that will work. All right, any questions about Girl from Ipanema? This is a little bit trickier, so yeah, we can probably spend at least 2 weeks on this if you want. And I'll let you guys vote on that at the end of the day. If you want to move on, we can move on. If you want to continue on this, we can do that as well. Let's go back to page 67, the first page. Take a look at chords. You have an F chord. Let's just go to the easy. That's pointer on F. G is thumb on G. If you wish to play the G7, it's F and G at the same time. Remember the rules for sevens. It's the letter minus 2. You always have to count the black ones too. The letter minus 2. 1, 2. Then put your hand back in your hand position and see which fingers are there. It is the pointer and the thumb. Just touch them together. Second line, you have a G minor. This is the hardest chord you'll ever have to learn. The rules for minors, and it is in the box, so if it's in the box, you must play 2 fingers. The rules for minors is the letter plus 3 keys up the keyboard. So a G plus 3. 1, 2, 3. It's G and B flat. Now, normally your thumb sits on that G. It is not preferable to cross over with your pointer. I want you to put your pointer on the G and put your thumb up to the B flat. It does pull your hand a little bit out of position. Look where the rest of my fingers are. They're are just kind of locked around these black keys down here so that I can get back easily. I have to do a little twisting of my wrist. And if you take a look at your next chord, it's a C7. C7, the rules for sevens, the letter minus 2. Oops, I went outside my box. So I'm going to take this B flat and put it right back up into my box. And we're going to play C on the bottom and B flat on top. Now, why does that go so well with the G minor? G minor, your thumb is the common note. You have a B flat in both a G minor and a C7. So you could actually just leave it sit there. Pick up your pointer and put your pinky down on the C. And now, the next note is an F, and look where your pointer is. It's directly over the F, so it makes it so much easier to play. By the way, G minor, C7, F is one of the world's most common chord progressions. Now, you don't need to know that, but your fingers will. Your fingers will actually start to see the G minor, C7, F, and they'll just flow right to them after a while. And that's what's so wonderful about chords. And that's why we do not give our left hand a choice. Left hand always stays in one position, and when you make chords, it's always one way. You're not going to say, oh, do I want to play my C7 here, or do I want to play it here, or do I want to play it here? Nope, there is no choice. It's always, always right here for C7. And of course, a 7 is optional, so if you don't feel like playing it, just a pinky on C is going to be fine. Then you have that C7 again, and back to an F, and the last line is G7. Yep, this should be an easy first page, easy enough, because I don't see any black keys in the right hand, so we don't have to worry about that. We have quarter notes, we have eighth notes, we have a dotted half note, which is 3. We have a tie to a half note, which is 2. We have some rests. Remember, the squiggly, whoop, who wants to come in? Mr. iPhone wants to come in. Good. The squiggly line is a quarter rest. It gets 1 beat. Then the dotted half note gets 3, and it ties to a half note. Then you have a half rest. That is the rectangle that sits on top of that middle line. And it's kind of easy to deduce that that one gets 2 counts of silence. If you are sitting in the same measure as a half note, that gets 2 counts. Now, again, don't worry about the counting. Let me do that. That's my job. And you just play the way it feels. Now, if you want to start with 8 measures, practicing 8 measure sections is the easiest way to learn how to play songs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Aha! So stop when you get to that half rest. And just do 8 measures at a time. Let's do some fingering for those 8 measures, and then we'll play them. We are going to break this song into sections. It's going to make it a lot easier for you. Okay, pencils out. G5, E3, E3, D2. G5, E3, 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 D2. G5, E3, E3, D2. Second line, G5, G5, E3, 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 D2. F4, D2, 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 C1, E3, C1, 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 B flat 2. You're going to cross it over, so circle the 2. It's a lot easier to put a long finger on those black keys. I know we just broke the rules on the other page, but that's the other page. This is this page. And then your last note. You can either put your thumb right back down on the C, or you can pivot and put a 3 on the C. So the C for the word that can either be a 3 or a 1. Now, I'm going to go to country. I'm going to slow this way down. and we're going to play the first 8 measures. If you want to play both hands, go for it. If you're not ready to play both hands, please, please, please just work on the right hand or just work on the left hand chords. That's fine too. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, in my opinion, the last 2 measures are the trickiest because you have independence of hands. You are playing the F chord, we're on line 3, first 2 measures. You're playing the F chord on a rest, and then you're playing the right hand, and while you're holding the right hand note, you're going to change the chord in the middle of that tie. So that's going to be the hardest part. Let's try those 8 measures again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, any questions about those first 8 measures? Pretty easy. That one's pretty easy. It's going to get a little trickier. All right, let's do the next 8 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn the page. 5, 6, 7, 8. As you can see, they do go in 8 measure sections. Let me see. Wow! This looks like it's exactly the same. Wow! So let's do fingering, and it should be exactly the same as the first 8 measures. So we've already actually got this one down already. Fingering for When She Walks, it's G5, E3, E3, D2. Fourth line is G5, E3, 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 D2, G5, E3, E3, D2, G5, E3, 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 D2. Turn the page. F4, D2, 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 C1, E3, C1, 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 B flat 2. Put a circle around the B flat because that's going to just be your cue that you are crossing that pointer over. Then the C for can be either a 1 or a 3, whichever one's the more comfortable. But if you notice, essentially, those 8 measures are exactly the same as the first 8 measures. So let's try playing that. When She Walks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Top of the page. Chord, note. 3, 4. We just don't play that lead-in chord. The only difference is there is no C7 for that lead-in chord at the end. Aha! Now let's take a look what we have. Oh, but I watch her so sadly. How can I tell her I love her? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take this apart in 4 measure sections instead of 8 so that we can get this because it's going to be a little trickier. Your first 4 measures are, oh, but I watch her so sadly. And your 2 chords are an F sharp, which is you just put your pointer on this first black key here, and a B. Do not go backwards with your pinky. Put your thumb up to the B. That is the most elastic of your fingers. So put your thumb up to the B. Your fingers will thank you. They will absolutely thank you. So it's F sharp with the pointer, thumb to the B. Keep the rest of your fingers right here in place. Let's take a look at the right hand. Okay, we have lots of flats here. Instead of saying F sharp for the same reason, it's easier for us to read a G flat because it physically goes up and then comes back down. And that is why they put the notes sharp or flat. It determines which one it's easier for us to read going up or down. So that F sharp chord and that G flat note are the same. It's just easier for us to read this way. Could have they put a G flat chord and made it a little easier? Sure they could have, but they didn't. So don't worry. It's all the same. All right, let's do fingering for these notes. F4, G flat 5, F4, E flat 3, F4, E flat 3, D flat, which is the same as a C sharp, 2, and E flat 3. When you're practicing, you can just practice these 4 measures over and over again until your fingers get comfortable. Let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now do not get all upset that you're playing an F sharp chord against an F natural note. That actually is a very nice major 7 that you're playing. But I know it looks weird. It looks like it's a mistake. If you have an F sharp on the chord, you should have an F sharp in the note, right? That's not the case. The F is actually the major 7 of the F sharp chord. So it is correct. Let's play that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Rest, rest. And then just play those 4 measures over and over again until your fingers get comfortable. Let's go to the next phrase. The next phrase is kind of similar, but it's going to be 4 measures. How can I tell her I love her? 4 measures. 2 chords. Sometimes it's easier to just learn 2 chords at a time when they're this different. F sharp minor. This is a whole brand new chord. What is the mathematical formula? It's F sharp plus 3 keys up the keyboard. So F sharp plus 3. 1, 2, 3. It's going to be pointer on F sharp and thumb on A. So the rest of your fingers just stay right here. The second chord is a D or D7. You only need the D. The 7 is optional because it's out of the box. The F sharp minor is not optional because it is inside that box. Let's take a look at this one. Questions?
Let's see. Yes. Back when you mentioned when it's in the box for the chord, do you have to play 1 note or 2 notes? Like an F, the F was in the box. I think it was the song before. The F chord was in the box. Does that mean you have to play 2 notes?
Nope. If it's in the box, you have to play what's in the box. An F is a 1-finger chord. Okay. An F sharp is also a 1-finger chord. Just because there's 2 symbols in the box does not necessarily make it a 2-fingered chord. That's something that is kind of hard to understand at this level, but that's all right. Just be aware that if you have a chord that has a sharp or a flat, it is still a 1-finger chord, but it's going to be a black note.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I wasn't too sure.
The little M is the one that tells you it has to be a 2-fingered chord. And that little M is always in the box. That means you must play 2 fingers. Now a 7 is also 2 fingers, but a 7 is the optional 2-fingered chord. It is on top of the box. Make a little bit more sense?
Yes, okay.
Okay?
Yes, right. I understand it now. It's just, so the F chord is just push the F.
Correct.
That's right there. Yeah, okay,
Yep.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm trying to do without my computers in one room and my
I know.
instruments in another, so I'm trying to figure it out.
And it's okay to ask the questions. And if you go back to your instrument, if your computer's in a different room and you go back, and after the class you still have questions, email me, let me know, or talk to your PA. But whatever, get your questions answered. It's always okay to have questions, especially about chords, because I'm telling you, chords are the most important thing we learn. Once you learn your chords, this hand is free to do all the performing at once. So there's that, again, there's how can I tell her I love her? 4 measures. F sharp minor, going to a D7. Now, in the right hand, instead of all flats, they're making this all sharps. Sometimes they do that to make it easier to read, and sometimes they don't. And again, it's easier to read the G sharp going up to an A rather than it would be an A flat going to an A, because that would be straight across, and you couldn't visualize it as well. So they always write sharps and flats to make it easier for us, the easy play reader, to visualize. So let's play How Can I Tell Her I Love Her? Let's do some fingering on that. It's G sharp 3, A4, G sharp 3, F sharp 2, G sharp 3, F sharp 2, E1, F sharp 2. Okay, so let's try those 4 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1. Whoops, I made a mistake. Finger slipped. Let's try that again. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. Now you're going to hear, if you're just playing the chord versus the note, you will hear, again, some clashing. And it's the same thing. This is more of a jazz song. So if you're playing an F sharp minor chord, which is actually this, and this is the note you're playing in the right hand, that's a jazz chord. But it sounds like you've got 2 notes right next to each other that are clashing, and you do, but it's supposed to be that way. The other one is that E note against the D7 chord. That E is not in a D7 chord. It's going to clash a little bit, but that's okay, because it's supposed to. Here's a D7 chord. It clashes a little bit, but it's supposed to. So do not worry about that clashing. You do not have any misprints in this song. Let's try that How Can I Tell Her I Love Her one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, let's do the next 4 measures. Yes, I would give my heart gladly. And we won't play those pickup notes, but that's, again, it's about 4 measures. It's actually 3.5 measures. Yes, I would give my heart gladly. 2 chords, G minor. Now we've already had G minor. It's pointer on G, thumb on B flat. Write it in. It's okay to cheat. And then the E flat is this one right here. And if you wish to play the E flat 7, it's 2 down. So it's this note and 2 down. 1, 2. So it's these 2 black ones at the same time. I play it with 3 and 4. You can use 5 and 4 or 5 and 3. Doesn't matter. Whichever fingers are the closest for those black note chords.
All right, E flat. 4 down, you said?
E flat. Okay. E flat is here. The D flat is 2 down. 1, 2. So it's those 2 black keys right there. Now remember, the 7s are optional, so you don't need them. But these are new chords for us, which is why I want you to take it apart in 4-measure sections. Play each section. Say, today I'm going to spend 1 minute on these 4 measures. And just work on those until the fingers get comfortable. And then, once you get this whole song put together, this is an advanced song. This is not really a level 2. It's just nice that it is in this book because it allows you to learn these new chords in a song. And it's a song that we all pretty much know. So let's play Yes, I Would Give My Heart Gladly. Whoops, I got to give your fingering. It's A3, B flat 4, A3, G2, A3, G2, F1, G2. So this is not so hard on the right hand. The hard part is going to be getting that E flat chord with the G minor chord because these are 2 new and a little bit more difficult chords. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, that one's a little easier to play. But you have 3 sets of 4 measures on that page. Take them apart individually in sections. That's the best way to learn them. Once you get the whole thing put together, it's going to sound pretty good. Okay, the next 4 measures. But each day when she walks to the sea, she looks straight ahead, not at me. Let's do those 4 measures. That's actually probably the hardest part of the song right there. A minor, C and A, D or D7, C and D. Only the D is required. The G minor we've had a couple times now. That should be starting to be a little easier. Pointer on G, thumb on B flat. The C is pinky on C, or C7 is pinky and thumb. So the chords shouldn't be too hard. But now you've got a lot of 8th notes in a run. So you're going to have to do some stretching there. You might just want to do 2 measures at a time. But each day when she walks to the sea, you might just want to stop there. Let's do fingering for those 4 measures. A3, B flat 4. Those are the 2 notes on the bottom of that page 68. The top of page 69 is C5, low C1, D2, E3, F1 with a circle. That means you're going to do a thumb tuck. G2, G sharp 3. Let's do the next 2 measures. A4, B flat 5. Here's where we cheat. Low B flat 1. This is one of those necessary places that it actually makes more sense to put a 1 on a black key in the melody. C2, D3, E1, circle the 1 because that's a thumb tuck. F2, F sharp 3. Again, if you wanted to make those 2 measure sections instead of the whole 4 measures at a time, you could do that. And you don't have to start with your pickup. You can actually just start at the top of page 69. 1, 2, 3. Keep going. And there's another clashy note. Yeah, some of these notes they're not misprinted. They are clashing. These are sounds and chords that we're not used to hearing. When you have a C chord with a 7 and you have that F sharp, it's going to sound like it's really clashing. It actually is part of a more complicated jazz chord, so your ear is going to hear the dissonance. That's the word for chords and notes that seem to clash. Let's play those 4 measures again, starting at the bottom of the page. If you want to start at the top of 69 on that first beat, go ahead. 1, 2, 3. That's the hardest part of the song, are those 4 measures right there. Take a look at the next 8 measures. Tall and tan, young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema comes walking or goes walking, and when she passes, I smile, but she doesn't see. She just doesn't see, and then it ends. So it's a little longer than 8 measures, but that's because there's what we call a tag at the end where it just kind of repeats that last couple of notes. She just doesn't see. No, she just doesn't see. And so that's just the tag ending. Okay, let's try playing. And we should know all these chords because we had them all on page 1. This is a repeat of the first 2 sections. So let's play from Tall and Tan, page 69, second line, second measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, I didn't give you fingering, did I? My bad. Let's do fingering. G4, E2, E2, D1, G4. Yeah, your fingering did change a little bit. E2, 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 D1, third line, G4, E2, E2, D1, G4, G4, E2, 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 D1, A5, F3, 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 D1, high C5, E2, 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 D1, E2, and copy that all the way to the end. E2, 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 D1, E2. E2, 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 D1, and E2. Let's start back up at Tall and Tan, and let's try to play this. This one should be piece of cake. After we just did that middle section, this section should be real easy now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Two, three, four. 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, yes, this song is going to sound a little bit better in Latin, but Latin has a lot of stuff going on, and it's a little bit harder beat to hear when you are learning the song. So I would learn it on like your standard pianist, which gives you just a nice easy beat, or your country full band and slow it down because again, it's an easy beat to hear. Do not play it on smooth because that's too smooth to hear your beats. You want your instrument to help you. You do not want to fight against your instrument. You want to be able to let this guy help with what you are doing. And as long as he's keeping the beat for you, you won't have to count. Once you get your fingers in place, then you can smooth it out. And if you wanted to put on the Latin and smooth it out, it's going to sound absolutely fabulous. Work it in little sections. Smooth it out the way you would sing it. Any questions about what we did today? This was actually kind of a tough song.
Yes, Dawn,
Mm-hmm.
could you go back to fingering on page 68
Mm-hmm.
at the bottom? Yes, I would give my heart gladly.
Yes, with pleasure. A3, B flat 4, A3, G2, A3, G2, F1, G2.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anybody else?
Thank you, Dawn. That was my question too. I missed the
Ah.
fingering on the same thing.
Okay, I either got lost on that one, my voice got lost, or maybe I forgot to give it. That could
No, it was me. I took my
be.
Yeah.
focus away.
Okay. You You guys are the bestest. This is a tough song. It really is. But this one is fun to play, but you have to take it apart. Can you see where each one of those 4 measures, oh, but I watch her so sadly, they each kind of stand on their own. It's almost like do, re, mi. Remember when we had do, re, mi? Each little section, each little run had its own set of fingering and own set of chords. And so you really needed to play those separately in order for your fingers to feel comfortable, especially if you're going to be putting the 2 hands together. And yes, you can do it separately. You don't need to get the 2 hands together. But this is actually a good way to learn some of these new chords. Remember, I don't want you to say, oh, today I'm going to learn all my minor chords. It's not going to make any sense to do that. Learn them as they show up in your music. And that's when learning the chords will work. And that way, when you go to other songs and you see that chord again, you'll say, aha, I remember we learned that one back in a different song. So that's when it starts to make more sense. Any other questions? Don't forget the rules. If you don't like the song, don't play it. Don't worry about it. So next week we will do Sunny Side of the Street. Okay, that one should be all right. I don't see tough chords. I just see pretty much one every measure. So that'll be an interesting song to play. And don't forget, I'm doing a concert on this instrument and on the Freedom 3 on Saturday. And I'm going to do all baby boomer songs. So if you want to get some ideas, even if you've got a larger instrument and you want to get some ideas for, like, oh my gosh, I haven't heard that song in 100 years. maybe it'll just inspire you to find that song and go play it. And I will have all the setups written down and on a handout for the Easy 4 and the nice Freedom 3 that's next to me over here. So I'm going to play like 6 songs on this one and 6 songs on the other one. Actually, it's hard to choose baby boomer songs because there's so many good ones. It's going to be a 5-hour concert, so no. No. It could be a long concert because there are so many songs, but I'm going to try to keep it right down to an hour. So it should be a lot of fun on Saturday.
Dawn, I have a question on page 68.
Okay. Go ahead.
Second line where it ends on sadly, we've got an E flat. You said finger 3.
Yes.
And then the next line down to the G sharp, you also said 3. We're moving our finger up. Is that correct?
Yes. And so what I missed there completely is that in this rest right here, we should have had a check mark.
Okay.
Because you are going from a 3 to a 3. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Good call. Thank you. Yeah. Glad you caught that. Anybody else? Nope. If you have any questions while you are working on this, do not hesitate to contact either your PA or myself so we can get you straightened out, because this is a good one to work on. Section small, take it in bite-sized sections so that you can do it. And again, if it's a song that reminds you of an old boyfriend, don't play it. Only play the songs that you truly love. I will see some of you at 2:30 today. Thank you so much for everything. Thanks for coming today. And I will see you all next time.
Good class, Dawn.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love teaching you guys. This is a good class to take.
Is the book
And the
15?
finger in.
See you next time.
Okay, we'll see you next time.
Okay.